Let me ask you something. If you set Parkinson's goals at the start of this year and they already feel messy, shaky, or behind, this episode is for you. Because today is not about pushing harder, it's not about motivation, and it's definitely not about beating yourself up. It's about stopping for a second, checking in, and making adjustments before frustration quietly turns into quitting. And stay with me till the end because I've got a Bryceism that might change how you think about progress altogether.
Welcome to Living with Parkinsons. The good, the bad, and the reality. Real talk, real life, real community with Bryce Perry. Let's begin.
If you are living with Parkinson's and trying to figure out whether what you're doing is actually working, well, you're in the right place because this channel is about real strategies that work in real bodies, not perfect plans that fall apart the moment Parkinson's shows up. And if you haven't already and you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any future episodes in this series. Now, here's what usually happens. You start the year with good intention, movement, exercise, med timing, energy, mindset. And then Parkinson's does what Parkinson's does. A bad week hits, fatigue shows up, life gets loud. And suddenly that little voice creeps into your head. Well, I guess this isn't working. That moment right there, that's the danger zone because that's where people don't decide to quit. They just slowly drift away. So today I want to talk to you about how to check your progress without turning it into self-judgment. See, I've had plenty of moments where I looked at my own goals and I thought, yeah, you know what? This is going how I imagined. And my old pattern was always one of two things. Either I doubled down and I burned out, or I quietly abandoned the plan and pretended that I was just busy. What I had to learn was that with Parkinson's, adjusting isn't failing. Adjusting is actually part of the plan. Now, here is some simple science. Parkinson's symptoms fluctuate, right? Your energy fluctuates. Your nervous system fluctuates. So a rigid plan always breaks. The brain does better with feedback loops, not pass and fail grades. Progress with Parkinson's isn't about forcing outcomes. It's about noticing patterns and then responding to them. And once I understood that, my whole relationships with goals changed. So let me walk you through 5 ways to check your Parkinson's progress without quitting on yourself. Now, these aren't theories. These are things that I've had to practice, and sometimes over and over again, the hard way. And as we go, if one of these hits home, drop that number in the comments. I'd love to know what resonated with you. All right, here is tip number 1. Check your direction, not your distance. See, I used to have to ask myself, am I where I wanted to be by now? And that question almost always made me feel behind. It was never positive. So I changed the question. Now I ask myself, am I generally moving in the right direction? Some weeks forward, some weeks sideways, and some weeks just holding steady. But what changed was I had less pressure. I put less pressure on myself, and I ended up staying engaged instead of being discouraged. And once I stopped measuring distance, the next thing that I had to deal with was expectations. So here's tip number 2. Separate effort from the outcome. And this one's huge. Parkinson's can hijack outcomes even when effort is there. So I stopped asking, did it work? And I started asking, did I show up? Did I try? Did I adapt instead of quit? And what changed is I stopped punishing myself for things that I couldn't control. And what was the outcome when I did that? I'll tell you what, I had way more consistency and a lot less shame. And that led to another mistake that I used to make all the time. That comes to tip number 3, and that's adjust one thing and not everything. And you hear me preach this all day long. One thing, not everything. So when something wasn't working, I used to scrap the whole plan. New goals, new rules, new expectations. It never lasted. So now I adjust one variable at a time. whether it be a shorter session, whether it be different timing, whether it be more recovery. And plans stayed alive instead of collapsing when I started doing that. And the outcome? Progress didn't disappear every time Parkinson's shifted the ground. But even with adjustments, there's one thing Parkinson's guarantees, which brings me to tip number 4. Expect setbacks. And why? So they don't scare you. You see, setbacks are not signs the plan failed. They're part of Parkinson's. And once I stopped being surprised by setbacks, they stopped knocking me off course. I stopped panicking. And when that happens, that led to faster recovery and less emotional whiplash. It's amazing. And finally, this one changed how I felt about it altogether. Tip number 5, name wins you didn't plan for. Some of the best progress doesn't look like checking a box. It looks like less stiffness, better balance, faster recovery, or more confidence. If you don't name those wins, your brain will forget them. Once I started noticing progress instead of chasing perfection, well, then motivation stopped depending on perfect weeks. Now, if this episode is helping you rethink progress, make sure you're subscribed, because the next phase of this series is going to be building right in from here. And before we get into Carmen's Care Partner Corner, I wanted to talk directly to those of you doing this on your own. When you're solo, progress checks can turn into self-interrogations. What's wrong with me? Why can't I keep up? So here's a rule that I use, and I want you to start using it too. If you wouldn't say it to a friend with Parkinson's, then don't say it to yourself. Progress does not require punishment. And if you're navigating alone, and that resonated with you, give me a heart in the comments so I know I'm on the right track with these. And now it's time for Carmen's Care Partner Corner. And here is what my wife Carmen wanted me to share with you today. One thing I've learned as a care partner is that progress with Parkinson's doesn't follow a schedule, and it definitely does not come with a report card. Early on, I used to look for big improvements, big wins, clear signs that things were working. And when I didn't see them, I worried nothing was changing. What I see now is that progress often shows up very quietly. Fewer bad days in a row. It might be quicker recovery after a tough day. It might be more confidence doing something that used to feel intimidating. And one mistake care partners can make is thinking that progress has to look obvious to count. So here's one tip I wish I'd learned earlier. Instead of asking, is this working? Try asking, what's a little easier than it was before? And another tip for care partners is don't turn progress into a performance review. Your partner is already evaluating themselves enough. I like that. All right. Oh, and here's my Carmenism for today. Well, let's see what Carmen's Carmenism is. Progress with Parkinson's is real. Even when Bryce insists nothing's changed, right before doing something, he definitely was doing a lot worse 6 months ago. Oh, nice. Nice. And I guess, you know what? To be honest, she's not wrong. So thank you, Carmen. You're not wrong. All right, it's your turn. Finish one of these comments in the comments. One thing that's working better for me now is blank. Or one adjustment I probably should make now is blank. You never know who you'll help just by being honest. All right, you ready? That was some big shoes to follow there, Carmen, but here is my Bryceism for you today. With Parkinson's, progress doesn't feel like winning. It feels like complaining successfully. I like that one. I really do. Thank you for being here today. I really appreciate it. Until next time, I want you to keep showing up. I want you to keep adjusting, and you keep doing life today. And I'll see you on the next episode.
Parkinson's may be part of your life, but it doesn't get to define it. Thanks for listening to Living with Parkinsons, the good, the bad, and the reality. If this episode moved you, helped you, or reminded you you're not alone, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Want to go deeper? The Inner Circle is waiting. Monthly Zoom calls, 24/7 community, and a direct line to Bryce. You'll find the link in the show notes. Until next time, keep showing up and keep doing life today.